welcome to another episode of InfoScope. I'm your host, Hannah Kim. We are back once again with the latest from the IT and science worlds. Let's start by taking a look at what's in the first segment. These days, it's very easy to find people walking around on the streets with their eyes glued to their smartphones. Adolescents and teenagers in particular find it hard to part with their phones. However, according to new research, excessive smartphone usage can affect not only your behavior, but also your vision and eyes. And in other news, the Korea IAEA joint review meeting took place last month in April. At the meeting, different nuclear safety measures were reviewed, and this year, all parties agreed to allow unannounced inspections of Korea's nuclear power plants as of May 1st. Let's find out more about this story next on Briefing Scope. As of May 1st, the International Atomic Energy Agency is now able to conduct unannounced inspections of Korea's nuclear reactors. Unannounced inspections help raise transparency, and about 50 plants in 20 countries are currently subject to such inspections. New research suggests that excessive smartphone usage is highly likely to cause acute strabismus or crossed eyes in adolescents. Researchers say that ongoing symptoms signify that relevant muscles have hardened, adding that surgery will be needed to restore proper sight. Researchers have found that consuming grilled or fried meat during pregnancy can raise the risk of giving birth to an underweight newborn. Carcinogens are released when meat is exposed to fire, so researchers recommend that pregnant women eat steamed or boiled meat. The number of hay fever patients spikes in April and May due to pollen in the air. Left untreated, hay fever can lead to secondary diseases or sinus infections, and experts recommend all patients to seek medical help when the symptoms worsen. If you feel like you have symptoms of hay fever, please seek medical attention immediately. I know that fine dust and pollen are both huge concerns in the springtime. Moving on to other headlines. Lately, we've been seeing a lot of different reports about earthquakes. In fact, recent earthquakes in neighboring Japan have made many Koreans worried about the possibility of an earthquake on the Korean Peninsula. However, government research institutes have come to the conclusion that the possibility of a magnitude 6.5 earthquake or greater is very slim. We'll find out why in just a moment, but before that, let's talk about evolution. How did life on Earth begin? Well, numerous theories have been proposed, and the debate still goes on today. Now, a group of researchers add one more possibility to those many theories by simulating a comet. What did they come up with? Take a look on Industry Inside.
Genetic material known as RNA is the basic unit of life. The basic frame for RNA is called ribose. The scientists theorized that ribose was hard to synthesize in the environment of ancient Earth because it was hard to replicate. Subsequently, scientists argue that ribose propagated as meteors and asteroids collided with Earth. Recently, researchers have simulated conditions similar to a comet's surface when our solar system was still young. They created a vacuum of minus 195 degrees Celsius, similar to a comet's surface. The researchers created a form of ice compound with water, methanol, and ammonia and exposed the ice to ultraviolet rays. Following that, they took the sample into a lab that has been set at room temperature and found that ribose was created. Scientists see this as supporting evidence for the theory that life on Earth originated from space. However, it's still too early to say for sure that life came from comets.
관건은 이제 해성하고 지구하고 충돌하면 해성이 뜨겁게 달궈지기 때문에 그런 복합 유기 분자들은 쉽게 파괴가 될 수가 있거든요. 해성의 유기 분자들이 과연 지구와 충돌했을 때 얼마나 많이 살아남을 수가 있는가? 그거 아직 해결해야 될 문제라고 생각합니다.
The research results were published in the academic journal, Science. The Tianlu Fault crosses through China's Shandong Peninsula. Some scientists have said that this fault acts as a shield that protects the Korean peninsula from large-scale earthquakes. When an earthquake takes place in the central regions of China, the Tianlu Fault absorbs most of the stress released by earthquakes, and only a fraction of the pressure reaches the Korean peninsula.
환유 단층대는 주마는 단층으로 구성되어 있고 단층은 암석이 끼어져 있는 상태에서 스펀지같이 응력을 흡수하게 됩니다.
When stress builds up on Earth's outer surface, two blocks of land slip past one another, creating an earthquake. The Korea Institute of Geoscience and Mineral Researchers predicts that chances are low that the eastern part of the Korean peninsula will encounter a large-scale earthquake for the same reason.
일본 열도는 주마는 하승 단층대로 구성되어 있기 때문에 일본 열도 그 자체가 우리나라 입장에서 보면은 큰 방파제로 역할을 한다고 볼 수 있습니다.
Another factor is the lack of long fault lines that can trigger a magnitude 6.5 earthquake under the Korean peninsula. For such earthquakes to occur, there must be fault lines that are tens of kilometers long, but there are no such fault lines in Korea. The protagonist of this movie is expressing great pain. There may be differences in the degree of pain, but patients with final stage cancer, shingles, or diabetes suffer extreme pain. Until now, it has been thought that abnormalities in the spinal cord cause chronic pain. However, a joint team of Korean and Japanese researchers found that abnormalities and nerve synapses in the cerebrum cause chronic pain. When a person is affected by diseases like cancer, peripheral nerves are damaged, and the cerebral cortex, the outer layer of the cerebrum, undergoes changes. A particular protein is formed in the cerebral cortex which changes the way the synapses are connected. When this happens, pain is felt even when nothing triggers it.
아주 뇌 조직에 거의 한 1mm 깊이까지 있는 개별 세포 그리고 시냅스까지도 살아있는 동물에서 확인하고 관찰할 수 있는 그런 기술을 사용하게 되었습니다.
The researchers hope that their findings can be used in further research on diagnosing and treating chronic pain. Fermentation requires a strict control of temperature and humidity. Kimchi refrigerators use this principle to ensure long-term storage of kimchi. Such principles were originally found in Onggi, or Korean traditional earthenware. Onggi is sometimes called the pot of life, or the breathing pot. It's made by firing earthenware in temperatures exceeding 1200 degrees Celsius. The surface of the onggi is made porous. These holes allow free passage of air into and out of the onggi. Fermenting agents like yeast or mold that are used to make doenjang and soy sauce need access to oxygen. Placing them in onggi will promote fermentation of foods. Once fermentation takes place, the food does not go bad, and the onggi helps keep the food fresh for a long time.
옹기에다가 발효를 하면은 그 산도나 pH가 이렇게 천천히 이렇게 변화가 되면서 저장성이 이렇게 증가되는 것을 볼 수가 있었습니다.
Onggi is Korea's traditional breathing earthenware. Kimchi refrigerators have taken over some of onggi features, but they cannot recreate the depth of flavor that the traditional earthenware adds to kimchi.
I love learning about Korean history, and the science behind Onggi dates back generations, which really shows the wisdom of Korean ancestors. Of course, science today has become much more advanced, but it's interesting how we still use many of what we learned from history. Now let's move on to the next part of our show. On Tech a Peek, we're going to take a look at a lunar orbiter which has been set to launch in 2018. Which scientific modules were selected for lunar exploration? We'll have more on this shortly. We are also going to shift gear and follow some of the latest health news. Childhood obesity has been an ongoing issue here in Korea, and researchers now discovered a biomaterial that plays a key role in causing obesity. How can this research help treat, suppress, and battle obesity? We have all the answers next on Tech a Peek.
Obesity is not simply about being overweight. It is the root of various chronic diseases. Changes in eating habits are leading to a rise in adult obesity as well as child obesity. Obesity is caused by unused fat stored in the body as fat cells. In child obesity, stem cells change into fat cells, which increase rapidly in number. The surplus cells store excess fat in the body. These cells do not disappear even when the child grows up. As a result, the person becomes prone to gaining weight. Korean researchers have discovered a biomaterial that plays a major role in dividing stem cells into fat cells. When a person overeats, an enzyme called S6K1 becomes activated and inhibits a gene that suppresses the differentiation of fat cells.
S6 카이네이즈가 해간에 들어와서 바로 윙트진 프로모터 부분을 갖다가 접혀놓음으로써 지방세포 억제 역할을 하는 윙트진을 갖다가 발현을 억제할 수 있다라는 것을 밝혀낸 것입니다.
Researchers predict that a substance that can suppress S6K1 will be able to help treat obesity. Results of this research were published in the scientific journal Molecular Cell. Korea is aiming to launch a trial lunar orbiter in 2018, Korea's first such lunar probe. The orbiter's main task will be to find landing spots for the lunar lander that will be launched in 2020. This 550-kilogram orbiter will have 3 scientific modules and a high-resolution camera, all developed in Korea. Polarized light is used to see the sizes of particles on the moon's surface. The wide-angle polarimetric camera will analyze the sizes and types of particles on the surface. The orbiter's gamma-ray spectrometer will be used to look for resources on the moon, such as helium-3, which is considered a viable nuclear fusion fuel. The orbiter's magnetometer will measure the lunar magnetic field, which has been steadily eroding since the formation of the moon. The data will provide the basic resources for finding out more about the formation of the moon, and the high-resolution camera will be used to take detailed images of the moon's topography.
고해상도 카메라를 이용해서 사진을 찍으면 그 사진을 이제 처리를 하면은 우리가 이제 3차원 영상을 얻을 수가 있어요. 착륙지의 경사라든지 그 분화구, 크레이터라든지 또 큰 바위 같은 것들을 이제 파악을 정확하게 할 수 있습니다. 이제 그 파악을 한 후에 우리가 정확한 이제 착륙지를 선정하게 됩니다.
The orbiter will also have scientific modules made by NASA. NASA will provide key navigation technology needed to approach the lunar orbit. The lunar orbiter will remain in the lunar orbit 100 kilometers above the moon's surface for more than 1 year and provide a steady stream of data. Sepsis arises when the body's response to infection injures its own tissues and organs. Sepsis causes blood vessels to become weak due to inflammation, and as blood leaks, organs become filled with blood. Depending on the severity of sepsis, this can lead to death. However, doctors have not been able to point out exactly what triggers sepsis. Korean researchers have uncovered a key substance that triggers sepsis and developed an antibody that can inhibit it. According to the researchers, a protein called angiotensin II is created in large quantities during times of high stress, and the protein makes blood vessels porous. The researchers developed a way to clump the angiotensin II proteins with an antibody called ABTAA. At the same time, ABTAA helps with the simulation of blood vessel growth.
이번에 저희가 새로 개발한 요 치료 항체의 경우에는 그 혈관을 강화시켜서 폐혈증과 싸울 때 우리 몸의 그 신장이나 폐 같은 중요 장기의 기능을 보존한 특성을 가지고 있어서
Researchers will now turn their focus on using this development for treating diseases and disorders like cancer and heart attacks, which are known to have similar blood vessel weakening aspects.
Unfortunately, there are many diseases in the world that doctors cannot treat or do not know the exact cause of. However, every day researchers and doctors are trying their best to find a treatment or a cure, so it's important to stay hopeful and positive. Just think how far we've come in the last century or even the last decade. All the new treatment options and all the new medicine, things unheard of in the past, and it's only going to get better. Now it's already time to wrap up today's episode of InfoScope. Thank you for tuning in again, and I'll see you next week with more from IT and science. Have a wonderful day and goodbye.